Hello, everybody far enough east. Happy Resurrection Day. I'm your host, Jason of Awake Souls, joined by the other host, the Limitless one. We're here on Beyond Flat Earth. How are you doing, brother?
Great, man. It's really nice to be here. I'm just trying to wind down. It's been so crazy this past week. It's been a ride.
Whew, yeah. So we've got the whites on, we've got the linens on. We're still in Holy Week. We're in Passover. And like I was saying, if you live far enough east, you are actually in Resurrection Day now. So that hasn't gotten far enough along the face of Earth for us yet. The third day just completed as the sun set here. We're a little after 8 p.m. And so when the sun rises for us tomorrow, that'll be when Yahawahashai rose. So um, this that is the first date that we were looking at towards as far as the 21st, 22nd, as far as a 1260 day count to the Day of Atonement in the year 2025. And then we'll also be looking at like 26, 27, because that would be the 1260 days to Tabernacles in 2025. So I don't know about you, brother, but the world around us seems to be going crazy right now. This censorship is at levels never seen before in this realm. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, so in the last 3.5 days or whatever since last Friday, I've got 7 hate speech strikes. Well, one of them was for some artistic expression that I could have put adults only, but they gave me a copyright strike for it when they didn't have to do that because I uploaded the same video to another channel. But that's 7. I'm banned on TikTok. I was in Facebook jail. I'm in 2 different jails on YouTube. Like the strikes just keep adding up. So apparently, truth is now hate speech, right? If you open up your mouth. So of course, obviously, I see the way that they're going to play. So I'm going to dial it back. I'll choose my words a little differently. But I mean, they just pick and choose. You know what they deem is hate speech, yeah, or inciting violence. They'll say, just standing up and saying, no, we don't accept any of this. Apparently that's hate speech now.
Yeah, so you've got a community guideline strike on the Limitless Channel right now, so that's the reason why we are not there. So that's the reason why everybody need to know the channels that we use. You need to be subscribed to them if you want to be able to keep up with content, because what's happening right now is it's just off the charts. And I'm trying not to use the Awake Souls channel right now because it's at the 2 guideline strikes. So it's it's crazy.
Just like,
We've had to just juggle. There's been 3 releases of the new video that we're going to be covering tonight. So it got premiered 3 times, 3 different channels. We still, tonight is the first time that we're actually going to go through and talk about it, sort of examine it, go into it, make sure everybody gets it, understands it. Um, and then you've also got some meme content to share with everybody tonight. Um, yeah, so we've got content to share, and trying to think of other stuff. So yeah, this would be like 1 week from that other 1260 day count we're keeping. Yeah,
yeah,
we've got nukes in the
couple,
headlines like crazy right now. It's
not as much news,
well,
but there
I
is
don't know
some.
if you missed it. Russia launched
Yeah, yeah.
Satan 2 today, and have you seen the footage of that yet? That's a great one.
The ICBM.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen the footage, but I know we looked at the article. So that headline, what were the other good ones? The DeSantis thing. They're trying to take away Disneyland has its own, what do you call it?
Yeah, they're like
Their own district.
city state or whatever, like the Vatican or something. They've got their own.
Yeah. So they're trying to get that taken away so the government can have more control of it, I guess. Or I don't know how that all works. What were the other main things? The ICBM talk, the nuclear device that went missing in New York. So we didn't have the explosion that we were forecasted to have.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we were discussing that they might have had a disaster, which could be in the mix still on what is the 24th?
Yeah. See
Was it the
what's.
21st? So we are watching a bunch of dates still yet to happen. But the censorship usually is a sign. They usually ramp up censorship before they do major things. They put their pieces in place so that they can stop people from getting truth out and covering things the way that they don't want them covered. It's getting crazy now. I mean, but I don't want to continue to go too much onto that. If there isn't too many more headlines that we were really going to get into, I don't know, brother. I know you want to get into the video. Are we going to go through the chapters? If anybody in the chat has any questions about the video that Jason made explaining the map and model of our reality, now is the time. Now is the time. Or you can put them in the comments below too. I'm trying to think. I love all the parts. I definitely like the parts where you explain the boundaries. Now we can actually take people to a diagram or a model where they can look at and just see this is it. You know, like you're not really looping anywhere or wrapping around. It's just the way that the boundaries were set up, you know?
I've got, I figured we could look at the chapters and then go to the video. And then there's stuff that I want to talk about with you that, you know, I just never got put into the video. I've also got motion open so that we can take a look at some of the footage in new ways, stuff that you didn't get to see in the video. We can stop and take a look at things in new ways. And I sort of wanted to preface this all with sort of needing to talk about this weird conundrum, dichotomy, paradigm that we're in right now. So I want to point out that everything that's in this video as far as the map and model of this reality is concerned is stuff that Ronnie and I have gone through in detail together, and we've helped each other learn and understand various parts of all this, and we've worked as a team to do that. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that with some of the language that I use, it may sound like it's coming directly from me. That's just because I made these recent new videos. And so I know and understand the footage. I wrote the narration for the videos, and I know the reason why the footage is in the videos and the places that it is and for what reasons. So I can speak with authority on some of this stuff. I just want everybody to understand that I'm not taking away from Ronnie. Like I did all this on my own, just the making of these videos. So
what do you mean? What do you are you trying to like state that you know, Jason and I, we went into the research and investigation stuff on our own paths, but at the same time we came up with the same solutions and maps and everything. But you actually put in the time to make it clean, to put it in a presentable way, and you brought it to the world. That's your crown. I'm just thankful to be here. And you know, we can discuss any part of the map. We can talk about it. I hope people are interested. So, you know, we're in this crazy, chaotic time where everything is being censored. If you speak truth, if you talk truth, you're demotivated. You don't get any views. You're super censored. And you put in an extraordinary amount of time. Extraordinary. Jason was just gone. Are you there? He was gone. He was putting this video together. That way, when people ask questions about how we see reality, because we have a third option, not the AE fake pizza pie flying and Freemason New World Order AE map model and the globe, Jason came out with a third virtual reality model where we tie it all together and living in a virtual reality. We could say a simulation, for the lack of a better word, but there's never been a competition between me and Jason. Never. And it's always been about the teamwork. And one of the first staples that me and Jason had was bringing more people onto the team. We wish that there were 6 other people, 10 other people, 100 other people up here beside us, and we could just sit back and let y'all do the presentation. I just do this because I absolutely, like, I was getting back to my original point, and I'll end my rant. What better is there things for us to do in this realm? They've taken away everything. We can't travel, can't be with the ones we loved. A lot of us are segregated off. So why not investigate the shape and the reality we're in? It seems, Jason, if I'm not correct, it seems like an honest thing. You would imagine the creator would want his children to investigate their reality, right? Why else would he build it for us? So that's how I see it. That's my end point. You know, I don't want to bash anybody over the head with, you live in a virtual reality and it's flat and there's clouds behind it. I don't even want to do that. If people want to ask questions, I sure do want to talk to those people. And, you know, it's been a long road, brother, for both of us. So I'm going to throw it back to you. I remember 6, 7 years ago, like every single person I met in reality, I was so manic. I was just like, did you know that the earth was flat? Da, 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 da. Have you heard of Trace Smith? He debunked evolution. And like, I used to try to do all this. People just thought I was crazy. And now I've learned this new pattern of just making good content, sharing it with people that actually care, and just enjoying the time that we have together. And that's my goal at the end of the day. And forgive me, everybody on the other side of the screen. Sometimes I make jokes. I don't know if Mimi's here. She kind of joked. It just wasn't too, it was too far. I took it too far. Sometimes I push the boundaries with comedy, romance. It's just, Jason, you are an absolute extreme pusher. You love new things. You're not about boundaries. You're limitless yourself. You know what I mean? And we don't want to be seen as like, oh, these guys are Christian. They go into this box. Well, absolutely not. We don't have a box. We believe in limitlessness. So that is my rant. And so, how is your approach? Let me ask you. So when you started off as a flat earther, I'll just tell everybody the secret. You were like one of those conspiracy theorists that thought like the government was after you and there was helicopters and you had all these guns and you like bought Tangy Tangerine and listened to Alex Jones, right?
Well, I never bought the tiny tangerine, but yeah, I got nervous to the point of expecting the door knock, right? Because I was listening to Alex Jones. I mean, that's how much of a noob I was at the time. So, yeah, the black SUVs, the black jacket people, they don't show up. That's TV that you've been watching.
After I started doing hoax busting and stuff with the government and the news, I did see a lot of helicopters, but who knows? They're probably just training. But so when you found out about Flat Earth, it was on like Godlike Productions. You were like an anonymous account, because I know a lot of people on the other side of the screen. You're anonymous too. I was like that for like, I don't know, a week. I was like, I'm getting in this chat. I'm making me a channel. And I jumped onto YouTube. So what was it like when you actually started to go around telling people about Flat Earth? Like, what would your pitch be if you could sell it to us?
Well, let's see. To sell it, I actually had made a flat earth proof video. So I didn't really come out and go too public about it until I had absolute confirmation myself, and I got it through a flood. I lived on the river on the east side of Austin.
River proof.
And yeah, it had a historic flood. The river came up 30 feet and almost got to the point where it was going to come into the house. And so it was at that time that I came to the realization that I was 400 feet above sea level. And now, having heard about Flat Earth, now all of a sudden I had to do all the calculations. I was 140 miles from the coast. And then based on the curve calculator, the one that's necessary, the 8 inches per mile squared, it's not enough curvature, but it's a good start. With that one, it was 13,222 feet. My house would have to be below the entrance of the river into the Gulf. So once I made the video, then I had personal testimony that I could go by. Hey, I went through this. Yeah, the water flows downhill. I can actually I can attest to that. And yeah, so I had to have something tangible that I was able to share before I could get going.
So that was your pitch. You explained to them, I've been watching the water flow downhill to the coast, to the Gulf Coast this entire time. It's undebunkable. So to do a scaled test where you would do the exact same thing, you would need to have a large body of water, right? And then a little tiny body of water, and then have the larger body of water pump a little tiny amount of water uphill.
Yeah, the little one go up into the bigger one.
Yeah, push back against the giant ocean, right? But yeah, there's so many good flat earth proofs. It's just ridiculous now. And we could just shred anybody in a debate. Nobody will debate us. Everybody, they just want to silence us, right? Nobody wants to debate us. It's because we're mean, right? We're vulgar, we're loud, we swear.
Because we're Christians. It's because we believe in the Bible.
The Bible, the scriptures. I don't even like calling it a Bible because, whoever put it into a group of 66 books, there's a good chance that those people are headed for the lake of Gehenna, right? You're not supposed to take any of the books away. That was a serious problem. But for us, it's just the scriptures, the truth. And it doesn't even have to be in a book. The truth is just living. Jason's video that we're going to go through here is the truth. There's no, I can't tell you this is in the book of Jason 8 28 or something, turn to that. No, this is in reality of us investigating it, and the things that we couldn't debunk, we put it into a model, right? And it's been fun, brother. I've really enjoyed it. I'm glad we had this time just to shoot the breeze. I'm trying to calm down, trying to wind things down, and focus on my choices and my moves forward, because as the censorship clamps down, you have to be smarter and smarter with your decisions, even though they can pick anything they want and just shut you off like that. Even though they already have a sandbox, literally the only people that are here tonight literally got the link from us. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to take it easy tonight. We're in no rush. What is it, 8:21? I'm thankful to be here. The festival week is almost over. So in the morning is the day that Christ rose, tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. So it's actually not that far from now in Israel. It could have been right now. It could have been right now. Right now, he could have been rising. That could have been the way that it happened for that time. But we use where we are, right? Our time zone, because that's where the sun rises and sets. We calculate the day then. So it's not until 4, 5, 6 tomorrow. And he didn't even go and see the apostles yet, right? And then the first one he saw was Mary. And then she went and told everybody, and they didn't believe her, right? That's an interesting thing.
So we have Jesse in the chat that brings up the it's scrolled off now. Where was it? Come back up. Have you guys looked into the nautical sextant argument the FED guys have been talking about? Yeah, the same argument exists within the video that we're going to be going through right now. I show the sphere Earth, and I show an angle taken by a sextant measurement at the different latitudes, and show how there would have to be an adjustment per latitude, right? There would have to be. So the FED arguments regarding this are good that I've seen. And yeah, they can't deny anything about what we're sharing, because it really uses the same argument that they're using.
So Jesse went in to talk about, he thinks the sky's holographic. Well, we can't exactly prove that, but what we can tell you is that the sun, the moon, the stars, and rainbows are all two-dimensional. They only have one face to them that you can see ever. You can't see the backside of a rainbow or the top of it. You can see it around in your circle of sight. You can't see the back of the sun or the moon or the sides or the bottom or the top. You only see the one face. These are two-dimensional objects, and they interact in our realm in amazing ways. And you can film them. We promote people getting P900s, P1000s. If you get the P1000, you got to get a better tripod because it's heavier in the front end, but it has a better zoom. What's the zoom on it?
125x or 3,000 millimeter equivalent.
It's a good telephoto lens. You can zoom in on the sun or the moon, and you can actually film clouds behind them, and stars and the rainbow.
Better than
all have clouds.
Better than most telescopes.
When you use the word holographic, it's like,
Yeah. So the problem with holographic is as far as we've ever seen with any holographic technology, is it has to be projected, right? There has to be a projector, and it has to come from a certain source. So there would be so many issues with a holographic projector, namely being that there would have to be one literally at every single observer, where it would have to be holographically projecting. You'd have to be like sitting on the machine that was projecting the holograph up into the sky in order to get the path that goes exactly around you. And you would notice if you were sitting on a holographic projector and is illuminating the sky, right? You say that so kindly, brother. Okay. I'll say it like this. Okay. So the simulation, for the lack of a better word, is what we're in. And through Eve, right, was the entrance into the realm, right? Adam was made first from parts of the realm, and then the spirit blown into him. And then Eve was taken from him. And then through her, Eve really means the mother of life, Kahawa. That's the name. And it means mother of life. So she began the mother of life. So it's the simulation. It's like the chicken and the egg question. What came first, right? Obviously the chicken. And then it was designed to lay the egg, which brought the life. So Adam and Eve came first, and then they had the first child. And that was the first entrance into the simulation. There's no holographic needed here.
your spirit gets entered into the child in the womb. And there's actually a time of conception that's a really brilliant flash of light that scientists have been able to photograph. Now, I don't like a lot of what Satanists have, but if it's good evidence, you can verify that, yes, this flash does take place. So that is how we incarnate into here. And for the lack of a better word, there's golden threads or other types of threads that take us back to whatever we are. And I like to sometimes think that we're a star.
Silver cord. I actually even have the scripture up tonight.
Do you?
Yeah.
Silver cord. Irony cord? No, silver cord. And basically we're in here and we feel and everything. And, you know, I think we reincarnate here. That's another thing that we teach. But I'm just super ranting tonight. I'm just going to stop. I'm sorry.
All right, let's get going. So if Jesse hangs around, there's going to be answers coming up to the questions. We could help point things out. I just want to point out quickly, again, that you're going to see that the motion of the luminaries, the sun, moon, and stars, the path that they take around the observer, right? We're going to be studying that. Its radius is set to the observer. It goes around the observer, and that means if it was being projected from the ground up, it would hit cloud cover and then it wouldn't be above the clouds. And if it was being projected from the sky down, it would hit the top of the clouds and you wouldn't see those things below the clouds. So we do see them in all places, and we're going to be going through footage that shows the sun really truly intermingled with the clouds,
yes,
in unique ways. And so I don't like the term holographic, just because of all the connotations with it, that it's like this projected light source from some sort of a lens, from some sort of a camera type system. It's, well, let's get into the video. Let's just
going, right? Your debunk of the holographic thing is, if there's a sun in the middle of the clouds, the holographic projection would have to be coming from inside of the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not possible. We know. But we can keep going. Let's go. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and make sure you tune in tomorrow on the RJ Shine YouTube channel again, because we got copyright strikes everywhere. If you want to catch more stuff too, more content, 7 a.m. in the morning, rise and shine. Shameless plug. Are you switching over now, bro?
We are there.
Get into this. You already switched? That was fast. I don't even have the screen share open. Oh, you're actually doing the screen share. Let's go, everybody.
All right, I just got to get my camera out of the way and we'll get going. All right, so this is the new release video, Stereographic Virtual Reality Explained, how the only working map and model of reality works. Now, I didn't even think it was going to get to 600 views, so I don't always guess correctly, but yeah, we did make it to 600 views on this. So before I get into this, I actually want to address the pinned comment that I left on it, because this is it's sort of that paradoxy type thing where we're in such a weird moment. And so we've got the chapters here that we'll be able to go through, but this comment, you know, it's confrontational in a way, but I feel like it needs to be. So let me just get through this quick and then we'll get into the video. I said, whether you like Ronnie or I or not, you are now going to have to come to grips with the fact that if you do not believe that you exist in a stereographic virtual reality, hashtag TEAMYAHAWASHAI can prove you wrong. So the hit debunk video, how the moon debunks heliocentrism and the fake New World Order AE map model of a plain Earth, smashed the heliocentric model and the fake flat Earth PSYOP model. There are only 3 models of reality and 2 have been debunked. So this right here has become like the hook that I'm going to hang my hat on. This is the anchor, the tent post that I'm just going to continue to pry off of. There's only 3 models of reality, everybody. The first one is heliocentrism with matter being made up of atoms. The second one is the Freemason New World Order AE Mappa model with everything being made up of atoms. And the third one's being in a stereographic virtual reality. So there's only 3, in this previous debunk video, there's 6 heliocentric debunks that not a single heliocentric person in the world can respond to. And there's 7 fake flat earth debunks that not a single fake flat earther can respond to. So those 2 models have been debunked. And then this video is the one that shows how the stereographic virtual reality works. So you, the viewer, are now in the precarious position where you must decide which version of reality you're going to subscribe to. If you want to believe in heliocentrism, you must be able to respond to the 6 heliocentric debunks in the hit debunk video, How the Moon Debunks Heliocentrism and the Fake Flat Earth. If you want to believe in the fake New World Order AE map and model, you must be able to respond to the 7 debunks of it. And I left a link to the video. The only map and model you can believe in that we cannot debunk you on is the stereographic virtual reality. So if some person came along and we were like, what kind of map and model do you believe in as far as reality? And they said stereographic virtual reality. Yeah. All right. We'd be like, we can't debunk you.
I was going to try to enter in all that bit, but you went too quick. I was going to say, yeah, man, we use the Hotide stereographic projection. What about you?
Yeah. Well, sorry, man, I can't debunk you if you do that, because actually everything on that map is exactly where it has to be, latitude and longitude wise, and good choice, is what we would say. So it's the only map and model that has the observable, witnessable, recordable data to support it. So we're happy to debate anyone on this as long as you have a large enough social media presence to make it worth our time. We're not going to mess around with Joe Blow with 1 subscriber, right?
Is there, how many videos on the right side are about snake venom? I'm sorry. I was such an ADD moment when I seen that artist. Sorry, brother. I hate seeing these stupid. You never see our videos in there, huh? If any of you guys ever see our videos in the sidebar, take a screenshot, send it to us.
Actually, if I scroll down enough.
Come on. They didn't put it in there.
Watch. Keep going.
Huh? Yeah, if you fall asleep for like a week, you might get to. Oh, there's one. Your recap. True names video too. Wow. Okay.
542 views. Cool. We're blowing that video away.
Don't make me laugh. I'm already a little bit crazy. I've been sharing some crazy memes today. I gotta chill out. Stop being so funny, bro.
All right, so we're willing to debate people regarding heliocentrism and the fake flat earth psyop, but you have to have some credentials. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to be a social media influencer for it to be worth our time. Otherwise, just watch the videos.
If somebody has a good argument and they can present their argument to us, we'll debate you. Anybody. But I mean, we would like to see people with PhDs, doctorates, Freemasons, Jesuits, all of you. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, but otherwise, people could try to just suck up your time.
Yeah. It has to be a credible argument against what we're presenting for us to want to debate it. Yeah, but I mean, we're not scared of anybody.
So it says, it is up to you now to decide which version of reality you're going to believe in. I hope you choose that path that has observable, witnessable, recordable data because that is the path of truth. Lies and deceptions are non-realities. They do not have the data to back them up. I plead with you to do the research yourself, because the way we were led to the stereographic virtual reality was through our biblical faith, and that same faith let us know that the road to eternal destruction is a broad and spacious road that many go down. In fact, the Holy Scriptures actually warns of a strong delusion that even Christians would be affected by. And so there's the Scripture, 2 Thessalonians 2:10-12. These are some strong words. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, Yahawahashai shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness, That is the reason fundamental truth number 1, see the description box, was placed in its position. So we strategized the order of the fundamental truths. Now is the time to get this figured out, everyone. It appears that the Great Tribulation is about to begin, so this really should be your highest priority. So I just want to reiterate again, we're talking about only 3 versions of reality exist. And we here have solid evidence to debunk 2 of them and can show 1 that's undebunkable. All right, so it's amazing to me that 630 views. Like this really
It's skyrocketing, bro. You're going viral. Get you on prime time, bro. You should be on Alex Jones.
All right, so the first
sell some tangerines from your video.
The first chapter is the history of the search of the map, and this involves you, brother. Let's go ahead and check out the first couple minutes here, and let's talk about how we came across this. How's that sound?
Oh. TEAMYAHAWASHAI.
I recently released a video titled How the Moon Debunks Heliocentrism and the Fake New World Order AE Map a Model of a Plain Earth, Phuket Word Exposed. In that video, I presented 6 heliocentric debunks and 7 fake flat earth psyop debunks. Each one of the debunks were complete and total model killers. The video would have been too long if I had explained the only working model of Earth in it, so that is what this video is for. What I am going to do is walk you through the last 5 years of research of the Limitless Channel and myself. Alright, so I'm flashing a few...
Pause.
I'm flashing a few timestamps here.
World War III, rumors of war, it says.
World War III, rumors
Look at the view
of war.
count.
624.
Is that the same as the other video?
We're at 620, no, 630.
Oh, past it. Skyrocketing.
Yeah, but this one had since April 12th, 2017. And yeah, so look at what we had presented here. April 12th, 2017.
Triumphal entry day.
Mm-hmm. So we've had this that long. We timed it with the festivals, with the triumphal entry day, and there's a couple more timestamps coming. You will see how the map and model were discovered.
So I'm gonna pause. This map. So the other map that we just had, we got a different version of it from a guy named Clifford Cox. We were like, hey, man, you got the CC, bro. You a Mason? He said, no, he was a scriptural guy. He had cool videos that were Christian, kind of like mine, too. He like edited kind of like me, but I liked it. But he gave us the Hotine, sort of the Hotine. We ended up finding it. But this map here was a screenshot I took off of Globebusters. They had like a version of this map, but it was just mangled. Right? They didn't have any of the labels or the numbers of the lines. They had some areas colored, some areas not. They weren't consistent, but I took a screenshot of that. And then I found out that it was actually a celestial navigation grid. That's what this is, a stereographic map. This here is of the sky. This is the celestial equator along this green line. It does line up with the one on the earth too, just so everybody knows. But it's interesting because when you wrap this to a sphere, this red line here that looks crazy shaped turns into a perfect croquet ball line, right? But so this was actually, so people, I don't know if you explained it, this was the picture of the celestial map of the sky.
No, it didn't get explained. I just referenced this because we had this before. So we were already looking at the stereographic maps, but this was before we had the ones that we're sharing with the land masses. This one had the sky, and Ronnie had found it already. And understood this. He absolutely understood what these points were and what it represents.
Yeah, it's got the lines of latitude and longitude. It's got NCP at the center. It says North Celestial Pole. It's got the SCP on the bottom right. So what they've done is created a two-pole stereographic map where we have a two-pole where the bottom pole is actually split half on each side. They've just moved the stereographic map a little to the left so that this would be all on one side. You can still grid it like this in a 3D program too.
Mm-hmm.
We just like to show it to you where it's separated because they would still have Antarctica would be just smaller over here. This is where North America would be. This is where Russia is. But yeah, this is the celestial map, right? And this is your prime meridian line, the same as on our map down the center. Oh, I'm not presenting. You've got the yeah. I just wanted people to understand. This is really what did it for me, because these shapes are all crazy. And when I put them into a 3D modeling program, they became perfect lines.
Yeah, circles, like the stripes around a croquet ball or the stripes around a pool ball.
That's all I wanted to add about that.
Yeah. You will learn how the map and model work. Can you hear that? Like it's got like a robot voice.
I hear it. Yeah, I told you when I heard it the first time with my headphones on, I was like, okay, I like that effect. I like that. Is that a filter? Or did you just double the track and then move it a little bit?
No, it's none of that.
What? Yeah, sometimes it's
something that YouTube did to it.
Yeah, sometimes they do that. They mess with stuff. You know, I found when I was at my highest manifesting points, they would like, it does things that makes it better, right? It's so crazy.
All right, so we had shared before, this is where the, I think this is Unreal Engine. And so this is the way the 3D modeling programs are behaving already. And they have these simple little tools where you can just move the sun around in the sky. And it affects the lighting and the shadows just the way we see it in this world right now.
It's a picture. It's a picture we're looking at. There's a picture in an editing program where they've made it three-dimensional. They've taken a grid across everything. Oh, I don't know why that came through. A grid across everything. I don't know why. I think YD might want to get a hold of you, Jay, if you have the Zoom on the side chat. You might want to check. And it's three-dimensionally spaced out where all these mountains are. And then they put the sun in here. And now they're able to actually cast the light, shadows, clouds, anything you want, you can just make inside this Unreal Engine program, right? It's really unreal. Was I right? Did she need something?
No.
Is everything okay?
No, I'm not seeing any messages.
Okay. I just thought I heard a phone ring or something.
Yeah, but that was on your end, I think. And I will also address the attempted debunks of it. The Limitless. All right, so the attempted debunks of the map and model that we've been sharing, it's been very, very limited, but there was a channel that tried, and so he put rulers out here.
So we do have a comment. Okay, you're good.
And he measured a distance. You know, then you look and see how far that distance is, and then he tried at other places and said it doesn't work and said debunked. But we'll get to how that
hang on.
debunk it.
Yeah, I want to get back to that too and point it out real quick, that the joke that he tried to do and the way that he twisted and misrepresented the map. We have a question here that says, I don't doubt, what is his name? Bean S. I don't doubt the map. This world is more supernatural than they tell us. I think there's a lot more hidden land as well. What are your thoughts on what's above us, holding up the waters, if anything? So, I mean, I don't think that it's water, literally water above us. I think it's more like a light, more like a feature of lights. Also, there's nothing holding the waters in because they're constantly in a cycle. The water comes in and out of the Garden of Eden. It purifies it, and then it pumps through the earth system, sort of like a living being, the earth. It has like a breath. It has the tides are actually the swelling and the contracting of the earth as it moves everything through it underground. And it all works in a huge system with the sky above moving across it. The luminaries and everything actually have a flow to them that causes a wake through the sky. Everything works all together. The supernatural part of the realm, right, would be how things manifest. Miracles happen all the time if you actually know how to look. So the last part, and then I'm going to let you address it, Jason, if you want to add to it. The waters above, again, so the waters flow in and around. If you imagine the boundaries are set. So the width and the distance. Now, we haven't been able to fly and check because we have routes that we would want to take. We would want to do and investigate, then we'd know for sure the shape. But imagine another landmass outside of this one, and that there, the barrier might be limitless what you could do. You could have realm upon realm, room upon room upon room upon room. You just have to have some kind of a key or some type of a system like in a computer where you'd be able to go from one room like a gate to the other room. There aren't any here. There were, the scriptures talk about a place where that was happening, but that was taken away. When Enoch was taken up into heaven, that was sealed shut. There was no more leaving or going. Everything was contained inside the realm. Jason, did you want to comment on that?
Sure, yeah. Christ did say that he goes to the Father to prepare many mansions. So this could be likened to many rooms. So it's, yeah, in a virtual world, you can have as many rooms as you want. You have another map and you just go through you can make a portal and you go from this map to the next map. It's really not hard. Game developers have been doing it for a long time already. The thing with the waters, as soon as I read those scriptures as a flat earther, the way I understood it was that the waters were separated as far as the waters that are going to settle and sit on earth and the waters that are going to float up in the air, because the water that comes from the clouds and stuff like that, it's water and it's floating water. And if you actually calculate, if you get a couple inch rain over 20 square miles or something like that, and all of a sudden you're literally talking about trillions of gallons of water that was just floating. And so there seems to be a distinction in the scriptures as far as which water is going to sit on earth and which water is going to float in the air. You got some of these hail that comes down. I mean, like softball size hail. I mean, sure, there's strong winds, but keep that tumble drying for so there's storehouses in the heaven for the snow, for the rain, for the hail, for all the sleet, all these different things. And so I just see it as the separation between the two, that we have this stuff that we call air in between, but so many people have pointed out already that a goldfish doesn't know that it's swimming around in water, breathing water. So
no, right? Exactly. I sometimes theorize, sorry to interrupt you, I had a squirrel moment, a fish moment, that we're like fish too. Right? The air, what we think is air, is really like water. That's why I said there's different densities and properties to what we call water. These are human words. A lot of the flat earthers liken they call it the dome, but in the scriptures, it's just a glass sea, or it's a sea of light that looks like crystally sparkling light. That's what it's spoken of, that's above us, the sea of glass. It looks like crystal. Like, it doesn't look like flowing water. And that's the problem we get. Well, we could get buried into these types of topics.
Oh, that's all right. So this next thing that I was showing here was our first live stream. So that was November 30th, 2016. And it was titled Impromptu Chat, Event Skeptic, Awake Souls, and the Election of the Elect on the Flat Earth Horizon. So great title. The thing that connected Ronnie and I together was the fact that we had both tried modeling the fake flat earth. And so there was, these are the early renditions of the debunks. Right here is right here is a shot from
the slide presentation I prepared.
Yeah.
Remember?
And these are the curves of the sunrise and sunset from fall to spring south of the equator.
That's right. So the sun would have to rise off the bottom of the map there. The orange line is the sun's path, which is, as you can see in the AE map, it circles to the right all the time, or the left, or whatever way you want to look at it. These are going the opposite direction. But yeah, so this was interesting because the title, except for that squiggly line in the beginning, I don't know about, I heard those are bad, those squiggly lines. I've seen that on, was it the Chemtrails or Demonic video? Do you remember? It was one of those symbols anyways. Yeah. But yeah, impromptu chat. So I was the event skeptic, which some people actually get on their YouTube, like in Estonia. It doesn't say the Limitless Channel. It says event skeptic. But so the election of the elect on the flat earth horizon, it's an interesting set of keywords there, right? You would hope to have an election of elect people in the end times. That's what we would hope for.
Yeah. So this is what connected the two of us, the understanding that this model was impossible. And then to put on top of that, we were both Christians. So So we spent our time debunking the fake flat earth for a while, and then we decided, hey, if this model doesn't work, we've got to find what does. We knew that there has to be an actual map of Earth, and especially if it's flat, then it's simple, right? So we looked at all the different possibilities, but the thing that we had to keep in mind the whole time was the fact that there's two polar rotations on Earth. Go ahead.
Well, there's a debate going on in the chat where we're arguing the firmament being a hard surface separating the water. So, realize, what is the Earth hanging on? Right? You want to talk about hard surfaces holding up the waters. Well, how about the entire realm? What do you think? Realize is supporting it. Right? You don't need a dome in the sky to hold up heaven. The Earth sits upon nothing. We're trying to explain to you guys that it's a virtual reality. I'm getting aggressive. Well, I need to chill out. Yeah. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Go ahead and chill. But the real problem is the word firmament. That's the whole issue right there. Is simply the word firmament. What you're using is a word that was introduced by the Freemasons in the King James Bible. That if you look up the word that it's supposed to be,
Rakia.
It's Rakia, and what does Rakia mean? It means a vast expanse or a horizon. So it's simply the word firmament draws all these false ideas, just false concepts that you're looking for a hard structure, which it's not. It's the word Rakia literally means vast expanse or horizon. So when it says in that scripture, you look at the vast expanse. That's what happens when we look out, to the horizon. We see the sky. We see the distance to the horizon. That is Rakia. So just anybody that's using the word firmament is often, it's in La La Land. This is stuff that the Freemasons made up.
Yeah, I don't need to get aggressive. I'm chilled now. I see my error in my way. The truth of it is not anyone in the chat's problems. Jason and I have been arguing against these points for many years, and I sometimes let my testosterone go. And the honest truth of it is I believe in what the scriptures say, and they teach that. So Frank brings up Arakia as being beaten out or iron metal. So if you want to understand,
it's a different scripture.
Yeah, that scripture there was dealing with the reflectivity of the sky, right? So they were likening it unto a mirror. So a mirror was a piece of metal that was beaten out flat, or smooth as they could get it, sometimes curved. And that's what they were likening the sky to. And also too, guys, the path that the luminaries trace around us, that's your actual sky. That's the ceiling. It's the lights. It's the lights that are up there, the beautiful stars. That's what tracks around us. They're not attached to a solid dome, right? They're just flowing through the space above us that's been created.
Yeah, and so then you run into the whole issue of, so with this whole domed, hard firmament structure, what's it made out of? Right? Is a person going to say that it's made out of atoms? Because atoms comes from atomism, which is
megacriometers, bro.
Is ancient Greek philosophy. It's never been proven. Nobody's ever seen an atom. Yeah. We've shown how big of a psyop that is. Not only are there no nukes, there's no atoms. So this idea that you can zoom in to a microscopic structure and see spinning balls around spinning balls is more heliocentric nonsense. It's Kabbalism. And so there's a huge problem with the whole dome structures. Now all of a sudden the material that it's made out of, it's got structural properties to it.
Haven't you seen? It's like blue, right? They found cryomegameteors is what Lord Stephen Christ, he called himself, the hollow earth,
and Bob's wife, Cammy.
He would go to those debates with those guys from NASA and the science people, and he would throw the piece of crystal that he had in his hand at them, and he would start telling them they were all going to die because he was God. But okay, listen. Yeah, you've seen the video, the TV shows where they had the blue ice fall from the sky, right? People, there's a dome. Like it's
when The Simpsons, when Homer hits the home run.
Yeah, the sky cracks, the water pours through, right? Yeah. So if people don't know, the water from the flood actually burst up from under the ground. Right. But anyways, let's keep going.
All right. So we started looking for stereographic maps, and here's the thing: do a search for a stereographic map, and in this is the search selection that came up recently. And so many of these aren't stereographic maps. This is a Gall-Peters. This is
Gall-Peters.
AE. This is azimuthal equidistant. It's not stereographic. This is AE. They call it a polar stereograph. Well,
no.
So we cruise along here, and what we find is this one right here has the two polar points within it, and this actually right here, believe it or not, when spread out, this actually, so stereographic, 2 channels, 2 poles, right? Stereo is 2 channels, 2 poles. This is the key right here, the fact that you have to have 2 points that north and south wrap into. If I go back a click and you look at something like this, every single one of these lines of longitude now, if you have a compass at it, north is straight up, south is straight down. So
it doesn't work.
The compass does not work on a map that doesn't have 2 poles. It doesn't.
Huge problem. If you've skewed the poles to infinity like they've done on that map, it's a problem.
So this is the CS Pierce 1894, and this was the one that Ronnie sent me. That right away I was like, here we got something. Here we got something. It's a little bit hard to see because it's all black and white. But so the first thing that threw me for a loop was having the split polar point. But after looking at it for a while, figured it out. So you got 24, 15 degrees. These are all the time zones coming into a north polar point. You have 12 on one side and 12 on the other over here. So we had that for a while. Now the reason why I was able to look past the part of having to travel across a border the way you do with a stereographic map was the fact that I already knew that I was in a simulation. I had that knowledge before Flat Earth came along. And so that didn't inhibit me. What inhibited me was the original model. So go back here. This, where is it? I guess it's there. This is what threw me for a loop. So knowing that you're in a virtual reality, and then thinking of the creator putting a dome around a specific area like this, that also makes this like an ant farm, an ant colony type thing. And it's absolutely unnecessary in a virtual reality. There's so many other ways. The other video, the 7 debunks of this, it's we could go on. We've probably got at least 100 full solid debunks. You know, that was just 7 that came from taking a look at how the moon operates. But this is the map that was shared with us by you remembered his name. And so when we saw this, we could see that, oh yeah, these land masses look just like the CS Piers, but they had the orientation set wrong. So in the video here, I show you what it takes. You turn it so that you put your prime meridian in the center, and then you cut down the 180 degree line. So you cut that off, you move it over here, and now all of a sudden this right here is the CS Pierce now. Right? It just doesn't have all the fill in, but it works exactly the same way as the CS Pierce now. So as it zooms in, CS Pierce 1894 map. There used to be some different variations, and we have a version that we've been using that I feel is the highest. So now you can see that in this orientation, it is the same as the CS Pierce, but now all of a sudden you've got color graphics, and you've got the typical vegetation texture map applied to it. Helps you recognize places. So we prefer it. And then we had this other version right here. This is the brighter, more colorful one. This was the highest resolution version of Hotine map that we were able to find. And so this is the one that we went with. And we colored in the tropics, the equator, the prime meridian. And once again, the boundary around here is the international dateline. You just adjust your clock when you travel across that. So I was able to show close-ups in the graphics of how
This is a personal circle of sight. This is what's observable from us. This is what we can actually view. We can fly up in the sky and look back at the city and watch the sun rise and set. Now, obviously, we can't go outside of the sun because the sun is locked equidistantly to you. So the farther you try to chase it, it just continues to stay the same distance away from you, the same way rainbows and the stars all do the same thing. That's why you can't get to the pot of the gold at the end of the rainbow, because it's locked to you equidistantly in front of you, because it's an aberration of light.
So this is the time right here for me to address somebody that thinks that they can debunk this, and their whole argument is the curved equator here, right? You see how we have a curved equator?
That's correct.
And he says the equator is visually straight. And so my rebuttal to that is every single map and model of reality has a curved equator. So in the globe model, this line right here is a curve, but it's a down curve.
Or up curve, depending which direction you're going.
Yeah. And if we were looking at the Freemason New World Order, this curve would be a circle, right? We've all seen that one. Well, this one, it's more like a sine wave. So they're all curved. Every single one of them is curved. And so in his mind, in his reasoning, he thinks that somehow you could get to an elevation above Earth where you would be able to see that the equator is not a curved line like this, right?
No, that's ridiculous. If you zoom in on the circle of sight that you're showing again, I don't know if you had that section. So realistically, we can't even get high enough to see that much. What Jason has got cordoned off here, this is way more than you'd ever be able to really see in reality. But for the lack of a better way to explain it in the demonstration, so you could actually see the sun rising through the 6 gates, is exactly, we can't get higher than this. So you'd never get high enough. And that's what the New World Order Freemasons knew. And that's why Neil deGrasse Tyson goes on stage and tells you that you can't fly high enough above the earth to take a picture of the curvature, right? They just twist it, because the truth is you never see curvature ever, but you can't get high enough to see any curving of any parts of the map. This is the way that the reality was set, right? So I just think it's amazing that we're at a time period where we've got drones and zoom cameras, and we're able to actually totally see into the fabric of the simulation.
Yeah, so this circle right here represents the circle of sight that a person has. So whatever the distance that you can see to the horizon, and you have to actually pay attention to how far it is you can see. You have to look and see what is out on the horizon that you can identify. Is there a water tower out there that you can just barely see? Then you got to go to Google Maps, and you got to see, okay, how far away is that water tower from my observation point? Was it 7 miles? Was it 8 miles? What you're going to find is that most of the time, most people's observations, unless if you live in the mountains, are going to be limited to under 10 miles. Most of the time.
The other way you can test it too is go to the water and watch a ship or anything sail out. And as soon as the ship starts to be obscured from the bottom up, it's actually crossing the edge of that circle of sight. That's the boundary. Because once it hits there, because the horizon centers in the middle of your vision, you lose the object from the ground up, and the last thing you see is the mast. So that's one way. You can also prove that similar thing by, setting your cell phone down on a really long hallway in a building, or if you're ever in a big warehouse, and you can walk to the other end of the building with your camera phone on the ground, propped up against something, and you're going to lose like half of your legs. They're going to be obscured, and you know that the floor of that building is level. It's not curved. And the same thing happens at the edge of this circle of sight. When a ship or anything sails out or flies through it, the same thing happens.
So in this circle of sight, you can see that the sun is traveling a straight path. This is an equinox, so it's rising 90 east. It's setting 270 west. You can see that the shadows, because we're on the equator, are straight lines. straight
Yeah,
lines.
there's his answer. The guy that was trying to troll you, show me the straight line on your map. You zoom in, you go, here it is.
Right there.
It's straight.
But he
There's
wouldn't
your straight path.
he wouldn't come over onto this video and say what he had to say.
That was a thread killer, right? Comment killer.
All right. So showing the different angles. The nice thing about this program is how you can manipulate it and look at it from an outside observer's point of view. All right. So this is really helpful to see the relationship of how the sun rotates around the observer. This, once again, the reason why I would be against a holographic world is that this blue line right here, right? This blue line is what the sun is tracing an arc with. So in order to see the sun make this path around the observer, right, the holographic projector, you would have to be sitting on or be directly underneath it or something
Doesn't
like
work.
that.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not the way that it works. But yeah, it's interesting that you point that out, as well as you want to go in through. You see the analemma there. There's that figure 8 that you see. It's broken up into 6 sections. You have 6 gates. So a gate is a place where like a port or a ship would go through. So it's a delineation of an amount of distance between 2 spots is a gate. Like you build a gate in your fence or your house door. So there's 6 of those spaces. The analemma is a once a month snapshot, or is it once a week?
We've
Snapshot
got
of the sun's.
We've got those sections coming up. So let's take a look at
I thought you were at it.
We are in the 3D modeling of the sun's path. So the next section is the sun rising out of and setting into Earth. This starts at 1650. The Limitless Channel and myself. So this is some footage that if people haven't seen it, this is what you have to contend with. The people that have high zoom cameras and telescopes, if we're talking zoom capabilities of 125x or 3000 millimeter focal length, 35 millimeter equivalent. So it's this is really the maximum zoom possible within this realm where you can still make things out. And so this is the observable, witnessable, documentable evidence as far as where the sun rises, how close it is, and whether or not it interacts with things like the clouds. So let's just go ahead and let this footage play here and let people soak this in. We're both already aware of clouds being both in front of and behind the sun, and we knew what the sun looks like rising from or descending into water. I even had a Nikon P900 and had recorded it for myself. So we are going to go through some footage of what it is that we witness when we observe sunrise and sunset at maximum zoom.
The green flash.
The green
Gorgeous.
flash. It is important to get acquainted with the green flash.
Not the movie, people. The comic book hero.
Look at those
Nice.
energetic waves.
Now, where's the
separating.
sun going, everybody? Look at that, right? Wow. Just disappeared into some kind of a... It went into the earth, right? It just sunk into nothing. Oh.
The disappearing above the horizon. All right, so you can see the horizon here.
That's great.
See the boat here. Where did the sun go?
That was a good one.
The energetic waves rolling along its edges.
What's happening there? Something magnificent.
Watch where it disappears up here.
Wow.
The distance it is from the observer. So this is my own footage, and this is taken standing on the beach, and I'm filming. Here's the horizon. You can see where the water line is. You've got these clouds that are so far away that they're down at the water line, right? Because of the distance, because of perspective. So you can see that there's a bank of clouds back here that the sun is in front of, and there's clouds in front of it, right?
So hold on, don't hit play. So the distance that you can see to the clouds, that you could trace a line around you, that'll be that distance, right? And then you can have the different distances to all the luminaries, right? Jupiter, I believe, is it Saturn? It's the top, is the highest one. So Saturn would be the furthest away from you, tracing the largest circle around you. And then each luminary has its own height, and the secret societies will call those the heavens. So each path that it traces out, they'll call each one a different heaven. So we're looking at the suns here. So the sun is at its path. It won't get any further or closer to you than that spot right there that it rises. It just does a parabolic curve around you and sets back into the earth the other side in the corresponding gate.
Mm-hmm.
You can model that up, I think, next. I think you'd be able to.
How clouds within your circle of sight can be behind it.
So clouds behind the sun. It's undeniable.
Had some of that this morning. Had more. Other people, not even you filming, right?
Yeah. No,
lots of people film this.
You can see where it's literally splitting this cloud bank here. It's going to come out right there, right? You see that? All these clouds back here are behind it. And it's going to set into this cloud bank while still illuminating the clouds behind it. So it's coming down, coming down, coming down.
Which side of the clouds is being lit?
There, you see which way these shadows are being cast, where the brightness is, right? The sun just went down into this cloud bank right here.
And the shadows that it can cast upward. And if positioned correctly, it can be recorded coming out of the ground as well.
Look at this footage. Here's the trees in the background over here. Here's the trees in the background over here. And then you have the sun coming up.
Yeah, I want to preface it saying that the distance between the trees that you see in the foreground and the trees that are behind the sun, that's a large valley in between two hills. This is an absolute amazing setup that this photographer found himself in. Is this, who is this? Is it Liz Dexic? No. Wasn't the guy in Poland, right? Nawija?
It's one of the two. I think it is.
Or was he Australia?
I think it's Australia. List Dexic in Australia.
Australia. So yeah, this is the perfect spot because a lot of people think that it's coming right out of the one tiny spot. I think that's a large gap in the distance. I'm just pointing that out. Coming out of the ground. It's amazing. Wow. Look at that. Ooh. Trees behind the sun.
All right, so that's what we witness and record, everybody. All right. The next section is how day moves across Earth. So let's go through this one.
Let's move along now and watch this equinox at the equator from overhead.
We can skip ahead a little here. So we're watching each circle of sight. We're seeing where day is. The day is rising.
Hang on.
Sun is
Let's
rising.
Settle it down.
Sun is
so
setting.
from the dark circle on the right to the dark circle on the left is your daytime. And everywhere that's dark, everybody's in nighttime. That's it. It's really simple, and it moves like a sinusoidal path across the map. If you were to line this up, it actually forms a sine wave, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, we can look at that in motion.
Sunrise and sunset move from the east to west.
So here's the day setting. Watch it set.
An observer's
Sunset.
longitude determines when the sun will rise and set.
Now it's rising over here in the east. Right. So we're here in Texas. We'll wait until this gets to. All right. So the sun's just setting here in Texas, and you can see that the sun is rising over here in the area
just
where
past Japan?
Phuket. Yeah. Between India and Phuket, right?
Yeah. Phuket. Come on, let's go. No, I don't want to go to Phuket. Absolutely not.
So this is how day moves across the face of Earth. It keeps this same pattern going every single day. It's
really not that hard to teach. I could explain this to anybody in the realm. You know, it's simple. This is how it works, guys. This is what we found, and we've got all the modeling and programming to show you guys to test it too.
So this section right here, how latitude affects sun path and the length of day mirrors its solstice. This is for the nerd that really wants to know and understand every aspect. But yeah, so what happens in the north is mirrored in the south 6 months out. And
Reciprocated.
This includes length of day. This includes sun speed travel. So everybody's heard that the sun travels 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, right? That's talking the measurement of solar noon to solar noon along a geographic landmass, and then you come up with that calculation that the sun must be traveling this fast. And so the speed,
1,000 miles an hour, 24,000 miles gives you a 24-hour day.
Then people understand that the sun speed, the speed that it travels across the face of Earth at higher latitudes, like in the north, it's slower, right? It's slower. Well, the same is true in the south. It's slower there as well. So there's another one of the huge Freemason New World Order AE map and model debunks that
the sun would have to be going super fast because it's a way larger circle on the outside of the map.
The six gates that Enoch.
So this is the six gate section right here.
What, just before we go on, the other thing that I want to point out that's different between the three models is the AE map and model have different lengths for their equator and their the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer. They're reciprocal, the Cancer and Capricorn, but on the globe it's the same as the AE, but ours they're all equal, right? All the lines east west are equal. They're not shorter. There's not one that's longer or one that's shorter. Therefore the speeds of the sun is equal again. I don't know if I explained that right. I'm sorry.
It's all right. So here's the six gates of Enoch, and so we've got the fourth gate, which we've all heard about. This is the one that happens at the equinox. So
we just passed it.
Yeah, like it goes from the sun traveling in loops around on this side in the third gate to all of a sudden, boom, at the equinox, it's going right here. And then the fifth gate is 30 days later. And the end of the fifth gate, 30 days. So gate 6, the sun travels 15 days out, and it gets to these outside, its farthest path this way, and then it returns back 15 days, and then 30, and then 30, and then 30, and then 30, 15 out, 15 back, then 30, then 30. So this will give you
1 year.
They'll give you 364 days, and then the Enochian calendar has a way of reckoning that fifth day, because you always start with the equinox, so you'll have an extra day, and then boom, next year.
And so just to take this up another level for the advanced class, right? So the lower the sun is in the sky, the smaller its circle around you is. So it's on the bottom in gate 1. That's your winter time. You have the least amount of sunlight because the sun has the smallest circle around you. Therefore, on the other side of the celestial sphere that we have here, You have the longest path of the sun up in the sky. This is what actually gives you your seasons. Has nothing to do with the Earth's so-called planal tip. That's all nonsense, what they tell you. The AE map and model that, oh, it's the summertime because the sun's circling closer to the North Pole. No, and they're all wrong, ladies and gentlemen. What we're showing you right here through the 6 gates, right? Gate 1 is wintertime. That's January, right? And gate 6 is
for the north, yeah.
For the north. And then this is reciprocated in the south. You just flip it. You just angle it so that the sun is facing the other direction. So when you're looking north, the sun is rising from your right and setting on your left. And it's identical as you move north and south of the equator. And again, the smaller the sun's path is around you, the darker it is for longer. You have shorter days and a smaller arc, and therefore you have less heat because the sun is what causes the heat. Right? So the longer the sun is up and around you, the more warm you are and the longer day you have.
Yeah, so the question is asked what this program is. This is the Andrew Marsh website. Let me share that link with people quick.
So did everybody in the chat understand what I explained, how the seasons work? I really hope that I made it really plain and simple. Just again, so the smaller the sun's path, the colder and more dark it is, and the higher the sun's path is around the sky, the longer your day, because it has a longer loop around you, and it heats up the earth more, and we get summer, right? So you can tell what time of year you're in if you're looking constantly at the sun, usually around the same time of the day, and you notice how high it is in the sky. The higher up the sun is in the sky, the closer you are to summertime, right? And the highest it's going to be is obviously the peak of summer, which is called the June solstice.
Add it here. So this is the link to the site that we're using, and
because that's always a huge question that the ballers ask. Well, how does your model and map explain how the seasons work? Because ours is tilted, right? So that therefore, when the tilted part is facing the sun, then it's warmer. But it's actually backwards. You dealt with that debunk already, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope everybody understood that, because I don't think you explained that in the video. I really wanted people to understand how the seasons work. So gate 1, winter for the north or in the south, gate 1, and gate 6 would be reciprocated opposite, not opposite. It'd be the reciprocal.
Right. Yeah. So you can see here that this circle right here, when you tilt this whole thing over to the side, now all of a sudden more of the circle is below the horizon. So the sun's always traveling at the same speed around the observer, but now because it has less above the horizon, you have shorter days. And then because you have more above the horizon, you have longer days. So that, like Ronnie said, this is the explanation for the longer and shorter days, the winter and summer, all of that. And then we've got so now you can watch this looping pattern that it's doing.
The dotted lines that look like a lopsided figure 8 is the analemma.
Yeah, so now you'll see
we have hundreds of hours going through details like this, but for the purpose of getting you to understand how the map.
Do you know how to explain that? The analemma is basically a star trail of the sun's position throughout a year. Once a week, you can take a picture at midday of the sun's position, and when you stitch all those pictures together, you get this figure 8 shape, and it's oblonged in the south.
Yeah, so I'm moving the date slider here, and it's staying at the same time, same location, and watch the path of the sun as I move the date. All right, at the same time, same location, there is the path of the sun if you were taking snapshots like Ronnie was saying. All right, so that's the analemma. That's just by moving the sun from the first gate to the 6th gate and back.
And there's really nothing more fancy. Jason and I don't have to make up equations and angles and celestial things to explain this. It's really basic, and you can go out and you can film this yourself. You can prove it that this is exactly what you see in the sky. And that's, sometimes why we get so frustrated, because we've been really wanting everybody to learn this with us for a long time. That's what's been really important to us. is showing people, and it's really basic. Again, you know what time of year it is. Everybody in the chat, you scroll down, but you could see where the position was in the sun, right? It was lower on the circle, you're in wintertime.
Yeah. So this next section is talking about the source of the data for the map and model that we use. All right.
Here comes the sunrise. Everybody, what time of year is that? That'll be the winter solstice right there. Right.
Yeah, you can see it. It's
boom, boom, December 22nd.
Smallest
the
path
winter solstice in the north.
Yep. With the most sun below the horizon. So programs like this, websites like timeanddate.com, the program Stellarium, suncalc.org, mooncalc.org. These are all the tools that we use, and they show us incredible detail. So you can go to any location on Earth. All right, you can go to any day of the year, and you can have to the 100th of a degree measurements per second. That's incredible detail. I never thought that we were going to be able to say that we have the data to support flat Earth to the 100th of a degree per second. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, all of this information is built off of two measurements, your azimuth and your altitude, and that's all done off of a flat plane. All right, the FED crew and the sextant talk, they understand that you can't give out these types of azimuths and altitudes and have these numbers be correct if you had to adjust for curvature at latitudes. So this is all the observable recordable data supports these shadows. Everything about this can be measured and tracked. You can watch a live cram from South America, and you can watch the shadow move around a stop sign. You can watch it move around a post, anything, and you can see that these shadows are being cast. The only way it's possible is if the sun was doing this type of arc around the observer. That's the only way it's possible. You can't have a projection. You can't have this be 3,000 miles up, being circles around the tropics. All these shadows would be cast much, much different if that was the case. So we do have all of the data. Crossing the boundaries explained. This is where it gets fun, right?
One thing, pause.
Yeah.
So Jesse was asking in the chat, which we do actually like good questions. I always believed when I was growing up, like I was a science nerd. I love science, right? There was never a bad question in science. So he asks, why is the analemma larger in the south? Well, we can never answer a why question. Only the creator himself could answer that question. But we can do is we can answer the what is. And what we see is that through the 12 months of the year, when we take a snapshot of the sun as it does its looping path through the sky, we get a larger oblong shape. And what we also theorize is that the map itself is sort of oblong too. So we don't think that the reality is perfectly square and flat. We think it's oblique or oblique. It's an oblique stereographic projection.
Rectangular.
It's a rectangular oblique. Like there's a twist to it. It sort of looks like a face, right? If you look closely. But I just wanted to address that real quick. We can't answer the why. We can answer only to the what is, what we witness. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. So here we have some visuals to go by. So what I did is I put up like some false walls, right? These are just symbolic of defining the border's edge. So one of the things that's talked about in this is that in a virtual reality, this map, right, would literally be the bounds of materiality, right? Because you would go from one edge and then you would come through the other, and there wouldn't be anything material, right, outside of this boundary. So some of the measurements that we've looked at as far as the height is concerned, we know that like high altitude balloons, they top out around 120,000, 130,000 feet. So we don't we don't know if you could go any higher than that, because that's the highest that they've ever gone. As far as measuring down, supposedly they've been able to drill about 8 miles down, and that was the limit. Now, as far as the width of Earth would be concerned, that would be the length of the equator, which is roughly 24,000 miles. And so it's about 1,000 miles per time zone. And then the overall height, we're not exactly sure, but it does look from everything that we're seeing that it's rectangular. And that could probably be the reason for the shape of the analemma as well.
Yeah, the shape of the analemma has to do with the oblongness or obliqueness, as well as the tent of encampment and the way that Moses was instructed to set it up. It was also orientated northeast, south, and west, and it had a rectangular overall outside fence shape to it, similar likened unto what Jason has presented here. And the other thing that's super crazy, again, all we do is witness to this, guys. We're just as excited to learn this as you guys, is that basically the way that it was all designed, it was designed for people to actually figure out, you would expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I just think I'm sure people want to get to understand the realm more. And, you know, it's just sad that we weren't able to present this to more people, to get their opinions. We've been trying to have other people get involved since day one. Jason and I can continue to say, anybody that wants to get involved, if you do 3D modeling, if you do anything, if you want to help, if you want to be a part of the team, we're always looking for people to help. Like, we're not saying that we know absolutely everything either. This is what we found. Now, Jason's put it together. He's the editor behind this one. He did a bang up job. So we'll get back into this. Now we've got the borders here. We're going to go back into the border talk, which is where we would call it wraparound or looping. So again, picture it like a video game. I know everybody, especially the youth, the young ones, they know their video games. In a video game, let's say we're going to go to the Earth map. Once video gamers know, they jump down on here. Now they can only usually see a map that's a circle on the screen, and it only shows so much of this bigger map. And then they know when they get to this side, they come back on this side. This isn't something that would be really tough for us to teach most people that have ever played video games before now. This is an easy sell.
Especially the kids that have played Minecraft and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden, if you explain
the war
to them
games too, right?
Yeah, that you could go into this world and actually feel and experience and be the character moving around in it, but much higher resolution than Minecraft, then all of a sudden it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
So this is demonstrating.
So far, we've been looking at things that we can prove with tangible evidence.
So that's the point. Like this point right here, this is theoretical. I'm showing you how this would work in a virtual reality. But once again, you're not going to be able to sit there at some location and set up a camera and see a plane half disappear like this, because it would be seamless from side to side. The circles of sight would cross over each direction.
With movement across the boundaries, I can show you how it works in a virtual reality, but there is no way to record and prove what is taking place. So let me show you how this works. If you have an observer that is going to try...
So some of the things that I did in the graphics here is I've got a light that's representing a circle of sight. So the higher the plane goes, the larger this circle becomes. And then we still at the same time have the days, the sunrise, sunsetting taking place along the equator here.
Travel across one of the boundaries, their circle of sight is moving towards the boundary and eventually will begin crossing and coming out the other side at the same latitude.
So here the circle of sight is already through the boundary.
The plane would be able to see the other side of the map.
Yeah.
The plane, I wish you had the ducking set up.
Yeah, but from the other side, so they would, once this circle of sight is entered the other side's circle of sight, that's when they would begin seeing the airplane, right?
Contact of view.
Yes.
Well done. I like that. With the little line through it.
Yeah, I left the little gap there.
Yeah. So that's it, you guys. It's just the other side of the map now. And you land. And it works in all directions. Everywhere you go, that's the boundaries, right?
Well, the thing is if you were traveling north to south, you wouldn't change your day. Right? It's just traveling east and west that you change your day. North and south.
I mean, how?
Go ahead.
How could someone go ahead?
No, that's the point.
Someone said Pac-Man in the chat. And, my question is because everybody that usually uses the term Pac-Man is usually a shill, right? Someone
every time so far. It's been
trying to make us look stupid, but I'm not going to get going. I'm not mad. But what I want to understand is Pac-Man only has 2 gates that it can go through. We're telling you that you can go anywhere in all directions. It has nothing to do with Pac-Man. That was Lori Frary and the Flat Earth, what are they called? Conspiracy Channel. They were the ones who started all the Pac-Man psyop nonsense because they seen it coming. They knew we were going to figure it out. Like the people that run the realm absolutely know how all this works, right? They had all these pieces separated. Jason and I just took them and reorganized them and aligned them differently. But yeah, for someone to think that this is a Pac-Man reality, you've either been mind controlled by the shills or you're a shill yourself. I don't know you, so I'm not going to say you're one or the other, but we were just showing you that you can go in all directions, northeast, south, or west, and you'll still come back to the same spot in our reality. You don't need a curve and you don't need an AE map and model at all.
Well, and so they say hard to prove or hard to disprove, hard to prove. Not so much, really, because once you look at the fact that there's only 3 models of reality, then heliocentrism has been debunked. We're not on a spinning ball flying through space. And the Freemason New World Order AE map and model has been debunked. There's just unlimited amounts of debunks of it. And so then what are you left with? So the process of deduction leaves you with this being the only choice. So it's not that hard.
Occam's razor too also leads to the proof of the reality being like this.
And then when you see the rise and set angles of the sun around the observer and the fact that the sun has to be rising from Earth and setting into Earth, then all of a sudden actually everything points to the fact that this has to be the only working map and model. So it's not hard to prove.
It's I can't read that channel name. Mercurial Magic Trees. I don't know if I'm reading that right. We really appreciate when people say thanks for us, but Jason and I wanted to do this so that we could leave truth for the next generations to grow up and learn. For us, it's a passion project. It's something that we love to do. It's the most important thing was we figured out we could do anything in this realm. Jason and I, we just both decided that we wanted to investigate what the shape of it was. We wanted to focus in on what was true and what was a lie, and not necessarily learn how to become type big businessmen. You did venture down that path more than me though. But so for me, when someone says thank you, the only thing I ever want to hear is that other people are going to learn the truth. That's my thanks. Jason and I are super humble. We never wanted any views or money. We just want people to learn. That's all we ever cared about. And we don't expect if you guys do any research, and I'll stop ranting here. If you look into paradigm shifts in reality, usually it's quite a few years later that people actually, because they're trying to teach us stuff 50 years, 100 years ago, it takes time. So me and Jason absolutely know how this works. We just want to get the work out, and we wanted to get it uploaded to a bunch of different places so that someday other people will stumble across it, and then they'll then have the truth. That's our goal. That's why we can't be swayed by not having views. We can't be swayed by the censorship, is because our goal has always been just to get the truth out.
All right. So in this scene right here, I overlay asteroids as I'm panning around with the camera so that I can show the whole border. So the vast majority of the whole border, the international date line, is all water. The only place that there's land at the border, it looks like, is at Antarctica. So
Antarctica is the only landmass that allows traversing the boundary across land.
This idea of being able to go across the borders, all right, coming out the other side, moving in the same direction at the same speed and velocity, What is interesting is that when you look at maps of Antarctica, that it's divided. It was the first video game. It was the, I mean, there might have been other ones, but it was the first arcade one.
Of a concept. It's a proof of concept. People think it might be a joke, but it's absolutely real. We are using it as a proof of concept. If you can build it into a 3D modeling program, there's a good chance you can build it into reality. That's how we build our jobs. Jason does a lot of the modeling in a 3D program. And that's like, I think everybody gets that.
All right. So another way to prove the unprovable, right, is Antarctica. So this, you can find this anywhere. They have it labeled as West Antarctica and East Antarctica. And so the picture set in this orientation, I have the cursor right here, the yellow across the Ross ice shelf. I want to show you what motions I do to lay this down on the map. What could we predict by looking at this map? So I separate it. We would be able to test as far as traversing from one side of the map to the other if we were crossing Antarctica. I spin them each. Well, we would expect that when we crossed 180, and we'll stop right there, and you can see that now this is that peninsula right there that comes to South America. You've got the Ross ice shelf, right, that's going to lay right here, and the other side of it that's going to lay right here. 80 degrees longitude, either direction that compasses would flip. So that's your Antarctica split across the borders, and you can see where you would expect to see a compass flip, right? Because if these are all lines of longitude coming from the north down here to the South Pole on this side, they're all feeding in over here. Then as soon as you cross this border, then you would expect a 180 degree flip to this side over here. So
yeah,
take a look at what the graphics from NOAA. Well, I've never been to Antarctica to test this for myself. I do know that magnetic declination maps show a 180 degree flip right where it's. All right, so
there we go. There's your magnetic line flip right there.
There's your magnetic line flip right there.
And someone was asking, yes, if you go south, if you go north, east, south, west, if you go 360 degrees in any direction, you'll come back to that same spot if you keep it heading straight, right? You can go north and come out to the south side. You can go east and come out on the west side. Jason explained how the borders of the boundaries are connected. There is nothing else outside of them, right?
All right.
There's nowhere else to go.
So now we take a look at flying across the border and what we see with the time. So Sydney to Oahu, right? A flight that leaves before 10 o'clock p.m. A 9-hour and 50-minute flight arrives at 11:30 a.m. the same day. So you actually get there before you took off. This is 9:40 p.m. This is 11:30 a.m. Although you were in the air for almost 10 hours. So we're going to demonstrate that. Same day. You can see why this is the case by placing two of these maps side by side. So you can see here, we've got two of these maps side by side, and this exact same pattern is going to be moving across here, and you can see how seamlessly it travels across the border now, the time of day, how it does. So that you can see sunrise coming towards you as you are heading west. The plane is traveling roughly 500 miles per hour. So if you're traveling west, right, you're going against the grain. The sun is moving this direction as far as day and night. All right, it's coming this way towards you, so you're going towards it. We're at the equator, so the sun's traveling 1,000 miles an hour. The airplane is only traveling 500, so it cannot keep up with day when it's traveling from the east to west. It's going to fall behind. You can see right now, midnight's probably right in this area, and by the time the plane gets down here, depending on if they're riding a jet stream or fighting one, all right, so see now all of a sudden the plane speed of the sun is starting to travel in the daytime portion because it's not keeping up. Night's moving ahead of it.
So when we take off from Sydney and head to Honolulu.
All right, this right here, I know is one of your specialties, brother. Dead reckoning on a stereographic map as opposed to room lines. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that straight line is a straight line on our map, but if you project it to a sphere, you have to turn it into a room line or a circle, a great circle route. And it takes a lot of calculations and craziness to try to make it work, whereas all you have to do is just do a straight line with the stereographic map. It absolutely is a proof of the concept too.
Mm-hmm.
In a straight path, we are doing what is called dead reckoning. Because heliocentrists have converted the stereographic map to a sphere and then made projections from a sphere, navigators have to use room lines on their maps to dead reckon.
Poor navigators. All that extra work.
Whereas they are straight lines, and
if all they had was a stereographic map to work by, they could just draw a straight line on it.
I'm glad you didn't put any chemtrails in the video. That would have made me mad.
We could have prayed them away.
5G towers.
We could have prayed them away.
So here we are crossing the
border.
border.
Destroy them.
All right, so this one right here.
Which chapter point are we on?
We're at 4059.
Okay.
This graphic right here is showing midnight day 1. So that's when the days begin in the Gregorian calendar. And noon day 1. Midnight day 1, noon day 1. Because we're going to be showing traveling from the from Sydney to Hawaii. This midnight day 1, how do I say this? It's a continuation. This is all going to be moving across the screen, and you'll see that this noonday 1 over here is this noonday 1 over here, and it's going to be moving this direction. Watch.
And we see how sunrise is moving towards us.
So you took off after, noon's passed already. You're taking off in the evening. You're flying to Hawaii here. Here comes midnight. You can see all the dark circles right here. You're still on this map. Now all of a sudden, you're flying into daylight, and here comes noon of the day that you left.
And as soon as we cross the border, we have now entered the previous day.
All right, so this graphic actually does show, with all the correct timing, the flight as far as how the day travels across the face of Earth. And then we can flip around and look at it the other direction, where it's going to take now all of a sudden a whole bunch longer time.
Land before you took off.
Oh, that's another big point. So there's not multiple of these. You can't just stack up world after world side by side and let everybody travel across and be in a different world each day. So the second map next to it is just a visual reference so that you can see the day coming towards you. But what would actually happen is you would go across the border.
You have to be wrapping around and coming out through the side border at the same
and
map.
You'd be coming in on the other side on the same map, not having a whole bunch of new worlds over and over.
There is not a new world for every day. Makes sense how you could land. Let's turn around and head back to Sydney now.
So now we have the same midnight day 1, noon day 1, midnight day 2, noon day 2.
Solar noon is still traveling away from us, even though we are also traveling west.
So we got the plane
because
taking
we're
off.
traveling at half the sun's speed. We wrap around our
zoom in,
border,
bro.
but as we come out,
You did a zoom in.
Now look, we've got a noon coming here.
we are coming into the next day that has already begun for those.
You see how the day has already risen? The day has begun on this side of the map over here. You got sunrise happening.
In the east,
almost 11 hours of flight, and we are landing at 8 p.m. the next day. So we are talking 1 p.m. to 1 p.m. plus another 7 hours, so your watch makes it appear that you've been in the air
So the
for 31
plane's just about
hours.
to land,
But it all
and the sun's going down over here, right?
makes sense in a virtual world where once you cross the border,
So it took you 31 hours by the clock to travel your 10, 11 hour flight. And it's all explained when you see how the worlds stack up against each other like this. So that explains that type of traveling. The debunks. So let's jump ahead to debunks. I know we're getting up on 2 hours. So as we mentioned before, the way they were thinking that they had debunked this is by comparing measurements and saying, "Oh, this isn't to scale." Well, no, it's not to scale because there is no scale.
all that they have demonstrated is that they do not know
Someone
how
just
to
said
measure
something like that
distance
in
on
the
a
chat, too.
stereographic map. It is not
Funny.
equidistant, so no scale can be
Fitting.
applied.
Alright, so it's not equidistant. So you should be able to see, when you look at this map here, you're going to see some large sections, and then you're going to see more compact, small, tight, narrow ones. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to cut to the chase here. The whole point of all this is a coordinate system. So these latitude and longitude lines, everything on the map here is in its position according to its latitude and longitude. All right, the Great Lakes have to be right here because that's its latitude and longitude. New Orleans has to be right here because that's its latitude and longitude. Sydney has to be here. Cape Town has to be here. Madagascar has to be here. All these things are positioned due to the fact that they're in their correct latitude and longitude. So
Yeah, it's a good question. No, it's a good question that he asked in the chat, because that's what people try to do. They get out a ruler and they say, "Oh, this doesn't work. This map doesn't measure right." But what Jason's explaining is, you take the lines of latitude and longitude, like he had explained. There's 12 on each side, and you can measure from the distance to the line away from to the object you're measuring, up or down, left or right. That's how this realm was created, so that it could be navigable by a compass. You need to have a coordinate system, and it's the only way that it would actually work.
see, Miami's at its correct latitude and longitude. Israel is. The Strait of Gibraltar. Every single one of these things are at its correct latitude and longitude. Now, so you can see the correct size of Greenland.
Yes. Well, there's only one issue with this map, though. The scriptures state that the center of it is more like, and so I don't know how the outsides work. We don't know if it's perfect. Jason and I aren't saying this is everything perfectly. It's the best we can find. But the scriptures state that Israel, where Jerusalem is, where Adam stood up first when he was created, and that supposedly is also where he was buried in the earth, and then Christ's cross happened on, and that's supposed to be the center. And then if you measure out of that, you can get 4 quarters. So Jason, if you can move your mouse, show the 4 quarters here. So right now you're above the Tropic of, what is that, Cancer? You're way above it. So you go down to the equator.
I'm pointing out Israel. This is Israel.
Yeah, but to
right
go
here.
to the equator,
Yeah.
to the center there. So the right side, they're above that line all the way along the prime meridian. That's your right quarter, right north quarter. Then you have a left north quarter. Then you have a right and left south quarter. You have 4 quarters of the earth, and supposedly the center of it is right in Jerusalem, where Jason was pointing. That we don't have perfectly. I just want to put that all out on the table so that everybody knows exactly what we're saying.
Yeah, so the answer to that would be is if we had the tools, what we would do is we would just drag the map to the left right here, and what that would do is it would pop out more.
We rotate that.
It would rotate everything. So they have everything lined up off of was it Greenwich, England.
That's right.
So all you would have to do is just drag this around.
You know why it's England centric, right? Because the
Yeah.
Rothschilds are from England, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tiny hat talk.
but you can see that Jerusalem is, if you look at the bottom to the top of this, it is north and south centered. So it would just take
a little bit of dragging to the left to put this in the dead center, and then it would be in the center of 4 quarters, right?
Yeah, that's the only difference that we're saying that we don't think is perfect.
Mm-hmm. So this section right here really gives the answer that all right, so
Coordinates.
nautical miles, this is how things are measured well, this is how things are measured in this world, everybody. It's not just stereographic maps. If you're a shipper and you have to ship things, what you do is you put in your coordinates, all right? 90 west, 30 north, that's New Orleans. 30 north, 31 east, that's Cairo. And so you put that information into a calculator, and because the definition of the nautical mile is 1 arc minute, right? 1/60th of a degree of latitude. They've defined the nautical mile as 1/60th of a degree of latitude. That means that the
statute mile is 86.9%.
that makes the nautical mile 100%. All right. That makes the statute mile 86.9% of a nautical mile, and the kilometer 54% of the nautical mile.
Of course, they make everything backwards. We should all just be measuring nautical miles with every vehicle, everywhere. And the map should all be measured in nautical miles too.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to make everything difficult.
On a stereographic
So here's the
map is
calculator
determine
coming
the
up.
latitude and longitude for any 2 locations, and now we have calculators that do all the math for us. Put in your coordinates and it'll tell you your exact distance in
So you just punch it in the coordinates.
nautical miles. Then all you have to do is convert.
So that measurement right there, 5870 nautical miles. That's the exact measurement between New Orleans and Cairo. That's how we measured the distance. You don't put a ruler and you don't use a scale. You use its latitude and longitude because the definition of the nautical mile is 1/60th of an arc degree. And then you can just convert it to any scale that you want, kilometers, statute miles, you name it. But this is how you measure distances, by latitude and longitude. So it's just a straw man argument for somebody to say that the scale doesn't work, because there is no scale. All right, so then pointing out how all the other maps of Earth, if you're going to understand the Earth is flat, and then you're going to be looking for a map, understand that it has to be a flat 2-dimensional map. Any map like this, everywhere north and everywhere south, has been scaled to infinity. That's the reason why Greenland's hyperinflated like this. It's the reason why Antarctica is hyperinflated like this. So when you recognize the shape of Alaska, all right, it's because it's been hyperinflated. All right, this is distorted Alaska. This is distorted Finland and Sweden. This is distorted northern Russia. This is distorted south of South Africa. All these things, other than exactly at the equator, have been distorted. So if you're familiar with these continent shapes and stuff like that, it's because you've been looking at distorted maps, and they have to be.
Yes, they've mind controlled us that way through predictive programming and through putting out the wrong stuff over and over again.
All right, so
they say it's like a security thing.
So I bang on the point that the supposed debunks of the stereographic virtual reality are that it doesn't, the scale is off. Well, there's no scale, and that the border crossings, and we showed how the border crossings would work in a virtual reality.
So someone came in with it is he who sitteth above the circuit of the earth, not circle. That's a bad transliteration. Again, we've dealt with these over and over again.
Yeah, these are all.
But it's cool.
They're all the Freemason psyops.
Yeah, it's fine. We know. I've got a bunch of memes. I'll be going through them. Like as we do live streams moving forward, we might have like a fake flat earth meme of the day thing that we're going to continue to do to show people exactly how. So why did the CIA release flat earth? So that they could tie the fake AE map model to it and then sync both the scriptures and the map together. And they actually have Christians who think they're Christians going around fighting for the demise of their map and model.
Yeah, so that's actually fundamental truth number 2. Just going to point out, people, this has been around for, was it, the last 4 years. We had the 4 fundamental truths. We've added 2 more. But the second one, the AE map and model is impossible, created and disseminated primarily by the Freemasons to destroy the credibility of the Bible with an easily debunked model that they worked so hard to try to link the Bible to. So we smashed a whole bunch. There's
Well said.
the Nathan Roberts and
The whole crew, everyone.
Mm-hmm. So if you were on a flat plane that was gridded out, right, it would be obvious that you were on a flat plane. If you were on a flat plane that was circular. So I want to show people this graphic right here. So this is the AE, right? Let's go back here.
Equidistant azimuthal. Azimuthal equidistant. That's what AE stands for.
So it started out as a stereographic map with 2 polar points right here. See how this is? And now with this slider, I can start adjusting it. Watch what happens. So the stereographic and 1 pole maps straight do not work. Once you hyperinflate it all the way, it becomes a single polar point. All right, and that's the AE map and model right here. So this is not equidistant. Absolutely not. You can see by all these grids, it's not equidistant. So it has the same thing that the stereographic map has to do with. These grids are all different sizes. None of them are the same. This is not an equidistant map. There is no scale that works on this map. No scale.
It's just a psyop, guys. It's just a psyop.
Everything has been shrunk to infinity at the North Pole, and everything has been expanded to infinity at the South Pole.
So it's double wrecked, right? It's double bad. It's not better than the globe, guys. It's worse. It's worse. That's why the CIA and the NSA and all the other alphabets rolled out the flat Earth, was because they tied it to a retarded debunkable map and model. And now when you search flat Earth, all you get is debunks of this map and model. And you know, Jason and I were way ahead of them debunking it first because we actually care. And yeah, you know what, Jive Pepper, it's fine. You know, I'm not trying to be rude to people. Again, these types of comments about it is he that sitteth above the circle of the earth. If a Christian doesn't see that there's a conflict between there being 4 corners of the earth, the scripture that's related over and over again is 4 corners, 4 corners, 4 corners, 4 corners. You instantaneously have a problem if you have 6 scriptures that say there's 4 corners, and then you have one that says circle of the earth. You have to look, okay, so let's look at what the etymology of each of these words were. And the transliteration, you find out that that word circle actually meant circuit. And what the circuit actually meant was like how a Passover season that we're in now, it comes and it goes. And then a circuit takes place. So a certain amount of days go by, and then Passover is here again. That is a circuit. A circuit could be an oblong. It can be any shape. As long as it has one revolution to it, it becomes a circuit.
Yeah,
and
like a lap for a race car is it goes once around the circuit, right?
Yeah, and you know, it's I get worked up because again, we've been dealing with these problems for years and years and years, and you know, I should be becoming more humble at it and being better at actually answering the questions. His next question says, does a compass ever point at the south? So, you know, what I found early off in my investigations, because there was a guy called Stinky Cash, tiny hat wearing Ashkenazi, who was out pushing this model. He's the one that came up with the clock app that David Weiss stole from him. He said that their compasses didn't work on the flat earth. And I was like, oh, I like smacked myself so hard in the head. I'm like, he's taken away our absolute use of coordinate systems. So yes, in the north, you have to have a certain weighted compass. And in the south, you have a different weighted compass. So, and you're in the north side of the map, you need a north type of compass, and it points directly north. And the south one will point 180 degrees south. So you actually need 2 different compasses for each side of the map. Well, and they absolutely do work.
It's same compass, but different weighting. So
different weighting.
The compass is 2 poles, right? There's so many psyops, but a compass is 2 poles. There's a north pole and a south pole on a compass. So as you go south of the equator and you head towards the South Pole, what happens is the closer and closer a person gets to the poles, the more the compass actually tips down, the magnet actually tips down towards Earth. And that's the purpose for the kneading of the weight, to keep the needle up in balance, because the closer you get, the more pull it has down. So there's a South Pole that actually is pulling down towards Earth, and a North Pole that is pulling down towards Earth. As you get closer to these places, the needles...
Reciprocally.
The needles want to bury themselves into the compass.
True.
The needle wants to go down towards Earth.
So now you got Jaron and Dave. What is it? Jaron went around like getting us banned and our content removed from different sites, because that's what Jaron felt like was the best use of his time. Because you put this image in your video. It was in the trailer too, right? Or is this a different spot? I think that was a different spot.
This is a throwback to the debunk video too.
Yeah, I'm talking about the debunk video. If anybody hasn't seen that, I strongly suggest you guys, get you some debunk video too. It's great.
So
here's Jumbo Dweeba.
Yeah, here's the issue with the Freemason New World Order AE map and model, is that if everything's circling around the single polar point being Polaris, you would see the stars going around exactly the way the animation shows. All right, and nobody's ever seen these horizontal stars traveling around.
Everyone would know exactly where the center was.
Around the outside of the dome.
There was no southern rotation, that you are on a flat circle.
And we've pointed out that there's two polar rotations, right? Not only are they rotating around Polaris, they're rotating around Sigma Octans. So you can see clearly here that that's not possible. It's impossible.
And Eric DeBeo say, I don't believe that you actually filmed that. You know what I mean? That Robotham's book said, deny anybody that tells you anything from the south, because we haven't navigated it. They thought Australia would be Iceland, right? In Robotham's book. But yeah, we're getting onto it. We got Strong Delusion. So the interesting thing I want to point out here is how you tied it together with the possibility the map and model that was created allowed for a strong delusion to be used. It allowed the fallen ones to come up with the sphere Earth. And if people don't understand the fact that you take away the creator, it takes away all the accountability. It allows you to become the most hedonistic possible. If you don't believe in a creator, if you think this just magically evolved from a big bang, you can sin. You can go on and be a horrible person. Like you figure out, YOLO, I'm only going to live once and die. So the absolute strongest delusion that could have been made possible was a stereographic realm that could be projected onto a sphere the way that they did. It was created in such a way, and I think it was beautiful the way you put this all together.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be Pythagoras. And notice how they understand him to be an extreme occultist. So they've got the compass in the square, right? Masonic.
The funny thing too,
They've got the globe back here. He's got the pyramid that he's holding. He's everything about this is pure occult. So the globe, heliocentrism, all that stuff is supposed to be credited back to Pythagoras. He was the first one to say it's Earth moving, and not the sky. And this is a cult. This is an absolute cult, and they ended up getting in control. So you got the Vatican. That the Renaissance era or whatever, all the guys like Sir Isaac Newton, the whole heliocentric model came out of the Vatican. When everybody's probably seen the clip, we're not against the heliocentric model, we came up with it. We came up with the Big Bang. That's the Catholic Church for you, the Vatican. They're behind all this nonsense, or at least keeping it propped up and supported.
Jesuits and Freemasons from the Vatican. Heliocentrism has only been spreading since the 1600s.
So keep that in mind. This has only been spreading since the 1600s. It was only through the Catholic Church, through their schools, through their because they were the
Jesuits.
Yeah, they originally set up the first schools before the public schools,
Right.
and then they indoctrinated everybody into this through their
And it
Go ahead.
it really wasn't until the late 1800s, because my cousin, we build walls, and he was doing a demo, and he found an old Jesuit handbook where they were outlining the curvature of Earth and how the celestial observations might work. And, they were supposing, the book itself was like a supposition. It wasn't even stating it as it was facts. And it was like a little journeyman's handbook, and it was said Jesuit all over it. And he only let me look at it for 20 minutes, and then he put it back into his safe. The book, that the little tiny book that he had, was from the 1800s, late 1800s. And so they didn't even have a stronghold. It wasn't until NASA faked the moon landing that they were even able to really start to get people to buy into the fact that the Earth was a sphere. So don't ever believe that this has been like this, because the heliocentrists will tell you, oh, it's been thousands of years since we discovered that we lived on a sphere. Absolutely not. It's only been since NASA.
Yeah.
Since they did their sex cult ritual magic with Jack Parsons, a bunch of Freemasons, all occult masonry set up doing the most satanic of satanic things, did any of the strong delusion even take hold. And then after this, what they did was they've completely destroyed society. They attacked families. They first made women go to work, which ruined the home life. Then what they've done is created gender people don't know what they are anymore. People can't afford to live anymore, so they're always stressed out, they're always fighting. So all because of the strong delusion, it's allowed this chain of events to we're led up to today, where most of the world is on lockdown. We've got all this nonsense, and all of this can be accredited back to NASA and Jack Parsons. And I believe it was Aleister Crowley who was summoning demons, who Jack Parsons then was an understudy of, and then took that practice, and now that's how we have the Kabbalists, because Aleister Crowley was a Kabbalist who was practicing Cananism.
Yeah. So anybody with common sense has looked at this and seen that, all right, the buggy doesn't fit in here. This thing doesn't have another hatch in it. So they open the door, right? They go out in their spacesuit. They go back in, they close the hatch. Right. There's nothing to control pressurization in and out. Like everybody with
lock room.
Yeah, with a submarine knows that you have to have a
pressure lock room. So this whole thing is designed to actually be super discreditable. Even the hill, the landscape behind you. Rob Skiba has a photograph of him at that hill. He does. Doing the Freemasonic hand signs too.
Yeah. So Earth is fixed and immovable. It's not a spinning ball flying through space. And yeah, this whole Big Bang thing was to support the idea that there could be no creator, that everything came from nothing, and that we just evolved. So we've been talking about how in a short amount of time, what is it, about 60 years since the moon landing or something,
we still haven't been back. Sorry.
But that's really about the amount of time that this whole heliocentric thing has been dogma around the world. And that's it.
Yeah. Haven't you seen ships go over the horizon, bro? Of course you live on a sphere, they would say.
So it comes down to this, everybody. You got 3 models to choose from. All right, let's go ahead and listen to this. There's just 3 models to choose from.
You can go with the Jesuit heliocentric model, where everything is made up of spinning balls that came from nothing. You can go with the Freemason New World Order Truman Show snow globe flying through outer space.
Boom.
Or you can go with being in a virtual world created by the...
So there's a lot of fake flat earthers that get upset when I say that the Truman Show snow globe flying through outer space. And I just want to stop and ask these people that think that they're in a dome, where's the dome? Where is that dome? Is it on a planet flying through outer space? Is that where the dome is? Because now all of a sudden you've got heliocentrism and snow globe Earth mixed up together.
2 of them.
Right?
Yes, they've doubled down, double dipping.
So it's not on a spinning ball flying through outer space. Then it's just it's just this half dome thing in nothingness. It's not on anything. because the material world of a domed earth, doesn't it need some sort of something to sit on? Doesn't it need a foundation?
No, the earth hangeth upon nothing, bro. Don't you know he sitteth upon the compass of the earth, or whatever, the circle of the
What
earth?
holds up the dome? Where is it? Where is
The
it?
great mountains in Antarctica, they say.
So this PSYOP model right here is all about the ETs. They built a terrarium for humans, and then
Gold mine, right?
yeah, we're just the ants in the terrarium, and the ETs are going to come because they built the terrarium. They're going to come take care of us, right? So
It's the nukes, 'cause we're doing bad things with the nukes.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
just I'm getting serious.
those two models don't work. The heliocentrism
No, they
and
don't
this
work.
one.
Or you can go with being in a virtual world created by the Father Yahawah in the Bible.
So this is what we've always said, the scriptures, all the holy scriptures are the true and accurate history of Earth. We're looking at a world that's been around for like 6,000 years. And that the Father Creator, the first of creation was Adam, and then Eve, and then people that know the Bible know the rest of the story. But yeah, there was no evolution. There wasn't billions of years.
Devolved. We've devolved.
Yeah.
We used to live way longer, 1,000 years before the flood. We lived. We were bigger, stronger, faster. I don't know. I do believe our spirits have been evolving, our souls. That's what this whole journey has been about. But yeah, what else did you want to cover here?
And that's it. So
Let's start again. Let's go back to the beginning.
Let's
go.
end of the
Rewind. Rewind. I'm kidding, brother. No, it was great. It was good. I'm glad we got to go through this. I'm sorry I lost my I tried to not lose my anger, but dealing with the same questions.
Don't lose your anger, brother. Don't lose it.
No, do to get mad. No, I need to continue to be calm. And when I see people asking these questions, I should field them more like in a good mood, because it's good that people ask. So you gave us content to talk about. I want to thank you guys. Anyone that asked a question, you know what? Even if it sounded like I was a little distraught, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for having the intelligence to be here and to ask these questions that are hard. And I'm sorry if I was acting, angry at anybody. I'm not. I'm really happy. It's great that we spent this time together. I'm really humbled. I'm thankful to be here tonight, and I hope that anyone looking for the truth may find this. That's my prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only 3 models of reality, and only one works. So it's important for everybody to go ahead and figure that out. Your whole worldview, everything that you do and decide, and all that kind of stuff hinges upon it. So we ask you to get it figured out, please.
We care. And thank you to YD in the chat, always doing such a good job, the map moderator. And thank you guys again, everybody that tuned in tonight. And a special thank you to anybody that actually asked questions, even the tough ones. I appreciate you.
All right. Is there anything else, brother?
No, where did everybody hear this?
Only on Yahawahashai News Network, being broadcast on Beyond Flat Earth. We'll see you next time, everyone.